I'm sorry about that. Something
That's
happened
okay,
in the
Lynda.
background. Okay, so this could happen again. We can't turn it off?
I'm glad it's your end that's gone wrong there, Lynda, not mine.
Me too.
This episode of Behind the Design is brought to you by the Volvo Xc40, the SUV designed for city life.
Hi, Robin.
How are you?
I'm well. Nice to meet you this
Good.
way.
Yes, nice to meet you too. Yeah, I've been looking forward to it.
I'm so excited about our chat because I have a long list of questions for you. I feel like we're going to the source.
Fire away.
Yeah, because we're going to find out all about Scandi design. And
Yeah.
where are you, first of all?
Right, I'm in a place called Värmland, which is about 2.5 hours drive from Gothenburg, so it's north, and it's on the biggest lake in Sweden, which is Lake Vänern, so that's behind me, and I'll show you a bit more of that later. And it's in the middle of nowhere, I have to say.
Oh, in the middle of nowhere.
The nearest shop is about half an hour's drive away, so it's proper escapism.
So here we are speaking to someone who works for Volvo. And
Yep.
what is your role at Volvo?
I'm head of design,
So you are the man to ask
I'm the
my
man,
questions
yeah.
to. You know, here in North America, Scandi design is such a buzzword. It's so hot.
Yes.
Everywhere you turn, everybody wants Scandi design in their homes.
Yeah.
So first of all, why is it so popular?
For me, I would say it's because it's it's modern, it's pure, and has a simplicity to it. And I think there's a honesty as well with materials, and I think that's a really important thing to Scandinavian design. The other thing is as well is it's so well resolved, and rather than over styling, we actually get to the root of how the design should be in the best way it can be, using the materials in the right way. And for me, that really wraps up Scandinavian design
So it's
philosophy.
stripping back all the artificial, sort of adornments and getting right down to the design, and
exactly.
the function and the materials.
Yes.
Nice. So you're sitting in the living room of your lake house, overlooking the lake, I take it. And I see behind you your wood-burning stove.
Yeah, and the beauty with this house obviously is open plan, but if I just move the camera up a little bit there, it's what we call a 1.5 house. So it's open, not only open lower plan, but also open upper. So the actual log burner with just one or two logs basically heats the house immediately.
Really?
And which is super efficient.
It's a year-round house and it's heated by one wood stove?
Well, it's also got the underfloor heating, of course, as a backup.
Good.
But to be honest
Good.
with you, we keep that pretty low and then use the burner.
So you
to
would
keep it
call
going.
this house energy efficient?
Absolutely, yeah.
And
They're really
use
good at that.
sustainable materials?
Yes, yeah. There's a kind of philosophy in Sweden that recycling is absolutely key to the culture. Everyone recycles. The houses are built from local wood as well. I've had to drill a hole in the garden to get water from the lake. 50 meters down. The only trouble was we didn't find water at first. They had to put pressure down to kind of open up the vents in the rock. And then we had lots of water. So it's a spring basically, but it's fed from the big lake as well.
Fabulous.
And everyone around here does the same thing. They just drill down and bring the water up. So it's a really low impact on the environment, which is good.
And I understand in your cars too, you do the same thing.
Yes.
You used recycled materials. I read some notes on this.
That's right. It's recycled PET bottles. So it's the plastic water bottles. 97% of it is in the carpets, the door panels, the side of the console. And then 3% is the color. So that's the orange or the charcoal. Then in the headlining, the parcel shelf, that's got about 30% recycled material. And even in the aluminium, what we call the decorative materials, is recycled aluminium. So we're starting to put more and more recycled elements into the cars and also under the surfaces. And that is a really important part for Volvo. I think that's key. And we'll just keep increasing that percentage as we go into our next range of cars.
So is your house true Scandinavian design?
I think so, yeah.
Can we see more, Robin?
Yeah, sure. Because it's a weekend house, really, we just want to keep it super simple and clean. and focus on the view behind.
Oh, cute.
So,
there's the front door. Okay, this is a good idea. Just I'm oriented better now.
Let me try and give you a little tour around. Should I take you outside? That's got to be.
I was hoping for a tour. I didn't want to push, but you know, I'm nosy. I want to see everything.
Of course. Now let's see. The weather's there's a little rain coming through, but let's start with the whole point. There's Xc40. So for people that don't know what I was talking about earlier, parked on the drive, and then here we have, of course, the reason for building this is to be out in nature, be on the lake, surrounded by trees as well, which is super important. And let me see how far this will stretch. So
it's called the Lakehouse. It's called the Lakehouse. You know, I'm trying to find a name for my Lakehouse.
I think it was influenced from the film.
Oh, the film. Oh, that was kind of like that was, but that was
great. Yeah. My wife likes that one. Let me come back in. Also the open door, which is really nice, just to kind of, you know, when it's sunny, just open the door and let the fresh air through. I walk here into a bedroom, and for me, this was an important part actually of the design, was to be able to wake up in the morning and actually watch the sunrise, because across there is the actual morning sun. So to lay in bed and actually watch the sun rise, because in the winter especially, you can capture that with a really crisp blue, you know, opening sky, and the whole sky goes golden, which is fantastic. So this was just really the window dominating the whole house, which is a really fun part of it. Yeah, so it's just this kind of relatively small house, which is for a weekend, which is perfect, and a few friends as well around.
Thank you. Now, is part of the design credo going on now in Scandinavia that houses should have a small footprint?
Yes, they're trying to, certainly with these kind of houses, is actually limit you to a certain size footprint and leaving the land quite big.
So does Scandi design for you represent a specific palette?
For me, I would say that we tend to go for this lighter palette, and maybe with a strong accent of colour just to highlight. I mean, behind me, you probably notice an orange sofa. That was actually ironically influenced from the latest Xc40, where we put an orange carpet into a black interior and orange doors.
I want to show you something. This is my orange bomb chest, and I've had it forever. And I actually got it in your mother country. I bought it in London at Conrad's back in the day when they had this great stuff, and had it shipped to Canada. It's a bomb chest. Can you see?
Wow,
it's beautiful. It's lacquered.
Cool. Is that I was going to say it's a
lacquered
chest. Hardwood
French design, and I put a black bow on it, so I'm kind of right where I should be. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, normally, I have to say that we take influences from furniture, architecture, fashion, and bring those as influences into our design work. But on this occasion, it happened the other way around, where I actually, because we built this house last year, I thought, let's take the Xc40 interior scheme and put it into a house. So that's
a guy thing. That's scary.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, you did it well, but it could be scary. It could be, but you did it very well. And fortunately, the interiors of your cars are gorgeous. I know that, because I remember last year at the IDS show, sitting in one of your brand new cars and admiring the dashboard that had driftwood.
And that was actually influenced from the one of the colour material team came back from the weekend from the coast of Sweden with a piece of driftwood. And we started to get around that as an influence and actually made that into one of our veneers. So that's really about a true element of Scandinavian design, is actually being influenced from nature. And there's this thing, because of the dark winters, I think people just want to get outside into nature for the rest of the year. Hence why they build properties like this and are influenced by nature.
When I think of Scandinavian design in a Nordic country that's cold like Canada, I always think of your exterior of your old houses and the colors you paint, your doors and your wood, rich jewel tones that look so fabulous against the snow. But now it's now, Scandi design represents a very pale palette
Yeah.
without
And
those strong colors. And how does that work in a cold climate?
there's a reason for that. I think it's all to do with the dark winters and the kind of bright summers, in a sense. There's a drive for when the sun comes that people want to be outside and capturing the light in the light colors. So it feels airy, it feels light. When it comes to winter time, the candles come out and it gets into this mood lighting set. And it's amazing. I mean, I came over from the UK probably 7 years ago. And the one thing you really notice is that people put light into the windows. And any restaurant you go into, there's a candle on your table and people gather around fireplaces.
That's nice.
That's how they get through the winter. So the palettes and colors they use represent this capturing the summer light. And then in the winter, getting cozy around candlelight.
So what's on the horizon for Scandi design?
Volvo is very much focused on electrification, which is great sustainability. But what that means for interior design is that we can open up even more space and we can create these more living room-like interiors. And I think that combined with our sustainable material approach, and also looking at natural materials, that's another thing. Because at the moment, people think sustainable, okay, that's recycled plastics. What we're actually looking at is recycled or natural materials. So start with natural materials and then get to a point where we do use recycled natural materials. And that we see is far more sustainable for the future. And of course, we can continue then using really premium, nice looking materials in the interiors.
So we have a lake house. We just bought one, 100 years
I heard.
old. Oh, you did?
Cool. Yeah.
I've been telling the world. We just bought one. But I'm relating to what you said because our exterior siding is going to be BC fir. And when I saw the samples of the siding, I said, I don't want that one, I want that one. And they said, oh, that's too bad because the one you rejected has knots and the one you want doesn't have any knots and it's not sustainable. We think you should rethink this and go for the sustainable one. So, of course, that's what I'm doing. And we're knocking back the knots by bleaching the wood, putting a bleach coat on it. And so they won't be as prominent. But, you know, a few years ago, Robin, I wouldn't have thought of this.
You wouldn't have considered.
I wouldn't have considered it. And now I'm embracing those knots because it means that those trees, they're not first growth. These are trees that, you know, they can just replant and there's no problem. So it's changed my mindset. Has it changed your mindset?
Yeah, I think the generation has changed. I mean, it's we can all see the effects of global warming. My daughter, for instance, you know, it's just, for her, it's just not acceptable to be not thinking about sustainability and materials. And they're our future customers as well. So it's good business. I mean, it's all about not only doing the right thing, but also creating good business and products that are attractive. So we see a change and it's easy to embrace. I mean, it feels good to create materials that are sustainable and use materials that are sustainable. So I think it's the right way forward.
I agree with you. Well, I hope you'll come and visit us sometime.
I'd love to.
When you're allowed to fly again.
Yeah. It's we don't know when that's going to be.
I know, but someday I'll show you my lake house because now I've seen yours.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again.
Take care.
Thanks, Lynda.
This episode of Behind the Design is brought to you by the Volvo XC40, the SUV designed for city life.